Welcome to BlackUSA.News Morning Show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all of my people out there in internet land. Welcome to the Black USA News Morning Show. I am your host, William Honolulu Jr. We have an amazing show today. We're going to talk to Sharif Small of SJS Financial. He's going to break down how things work and how you can prepare yourself both personally and for your business perspective so that you can take advantage of some of the changes and the laws and the tax regulations and stuff like that. And also prepare yourself for the success that you want to have. The reality is that for most of us, we don't get to experience success because we don't plan for it well. We get an idea and we try to make it happen immediately, but you can start working on it, but you need to make sure you level set your expectations and understand how long some of these processes take. And so Sharif is going to speak to us today about what you can do to be prepared and make sure all your stuff is the way it should be. As always, got to give a big shout out to the super producer, Crazy Horse Morgan. Been making sure all the stuff in the background is held down and make sure that, you know, that we have all of the resources we need to be successful. Yesterday's show was amazing. We had Tamika Givens on talking about real estate, really helping us dive deep into what's actually happening in the market space right now. She talked a lot about how the real estate market is artificially high right now. And we talked about the reasons behind that. And one of them was the fact that a lot of these housing moratoriums, eviction moratoriums and foreclosure moratoriums is making the inventory artificially low. So that means the supply of available homes for investors and for people who want a residential property are all low artificially, because a lot of those properties that would have been put into the market space aren't. And one of the things that we covered was the belief that once the eviction moratoriums and the foreclosure moratoriums go away, all of a sudden there's going to be this big flood of property on the market. What happens when the inventory goes from really restricted to really plentiful? Prices go down. So if you are looking to buy a house right now and you're okay with the price and you plan to stay in it for 20, 30 years, Tamika was like, that makes sense. But if you're looking to move within the next 5 to 7 years, you might be in trouble because it'll take the market longer to get back to a state where you may be able to make out good. One of the other things we talked about, which I thought was really interesting, is this idea that real estate, for most people, especially residential real estate, isn't necessarily an investment. It is paying for a long-term investment, because you pay for the house. It doesn't generate money for you in return. And I think that we need to make sure, as we are talking about what really investments are and how we navigate our financial well-being in this, capitalist system in which we find ourselves, we need to understand some of these things, because otherwise we're going to end up making some mistakes that won't go well for us. We talk a lot about intergenerational wealth in the Black community. And how we make it happen, how we can grow opportunities for Black people. But what we sometimes forget is that it takes planning and technical assistance, and also the recognition that the system is not designed for us to be successful. That is the reality of it. And not just us as Black people, but us as not the elites with all of the money. I mean, think about it this way. If you have a 7-year-old who made up the rules to a game, or hell, a teenager who made up the rules to the game, how often are they going to have rules that give everybody a fair shake? It's not going to happen. Very seldom will you find a teenager who's willing to make sure it's a fair game. Most people, they try to make the game unfair to their advantage. That's it. They do these things, they push and they change the rules. I remember playing with my with one of my little cousins when he was small, and he was talking about he had made up this game and we were playing. He said, well, you have to do this to score. And I was like, okay, and I did this. He's like, no, you didn't do it right. You got to do it this way. And he bounced the ball differently to make it go in. I said, okay. And I did what he did. He's like, no, you're not doing it right. And what I realized very quickly was me not doing it right meant that I wasn't doing it the way he wanted to so that he could win. There is no difference in the system that we live in. The people who are in charge of the system want to make sure that they can continue to win. Makes sense. I'm doing the same thing for my kids. But what it means is that the rest of us who are not in the positions where we get to make the rules, that we have to be vigilant on a regular basis. An example of that was Donnie's show this morning with Lisa Hodges-Hyken of the Westport Community CDC, Economic Development Committee, Economic Development Company. They are out in Westport and Baltimore trying to make sure that as large-scale development comes into that area, that resources are set aside for the local community. See, what happens is a lot of times when people see the big money and the shiny this and, ooh, we can get a Whole Foods, they go buck wild and they forget the people that get trampled in the way. And so organizations like the Westport Community Economic Development Corporation, people like Lisa Hodges-Hyken, Donnie Glover, and all of the people in the community, Sharif Small included, it's a big shout out to you guys, because it is an example of the type of investment we need in order to make our communities safer and in order to make our communities better. That's a real thing. And I'm just grateful for the people who are out in the world doing it. Hey, Michael, good morning. All right, let's see. There's some other stuff I gotta tell you guys before we just jump into everything. Let's see, where is it? Yes. The NAACP, the Baltimore City branch, is hosting a grant writing workshop on the 17th in the evening. I think it's 6 o'clock. You can hit up my company, www.grindinggang.com, to register. It is free for NAACP members, and it's only $50 for non-NAACP members. Really want to make sure that organizations understand how the grant writing process works and how they need to pull together their resources and their opportunities so they can be prepared. All right, what else? Who else? What else is going on? Oh, free stuff. I know we like free stuff. I'm hosting a free business planning workshop on January 19th at 6 p.m. Again, planning is critically important in your success. A lot of times our hustle and our instinct does a really good job of putting us in a position where we can make quick money. But as you start building, taking that quick money and rolling it over into building a business and building an enterprise, you need to actually have a plan. Without a plan, you just kind of do stuff and hope you end up in the right place. If your instincts are good, you may, but do you really want to trust it to luck and instinct along the way? So please feel free, visit the Grinding Gang website and register for the free events. All right, let's see. Oh, you know how we do. Big shout out to So I Said, SEW. Okay, SEW. I said the letter I or the word I don't know. The letter I, like I am. So it's So I Said. What they do is really, really cool. So for those of you all who are in, let's say, fraternities, sororities, Masonic orders, or other organizations, or you have family reunion T-shirts or what have you, she takes or they take the old T-shirts and they turn them into quilts. So you could take like your old fraternity stuff, or even some clothing from a loved one or some things like that, and turn it into a quilt that you can have for your family. That's really, really cool. They're out of, where are they out of? They're out of Texas, Frisco, Texas. 469-273-1256. So I said, it's really cool. And also shout out to Dr. Dwayne Allen. PhD, LCPA, like he got a whole lot of letters behind his name. He's the clinical director for BHFS Medical and Behavioral Services in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville, Texas. Yeah, I'm sorry, no, not Louisville. I apologize. Louisville, Texas. You get and see, I'm from the East Coast, and our accent's a little bit different, but they take that real seriously down there. So shout out to Dr. Allen. I'm hoping that we'll have him on the show sometime soon. And he can tell us a little bit more about mental health and the intersection between mental health and business. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Also, we're speaking of Texas, we're going to have Lisa Morgan, who I can't even tell you where she's from. She's in all the organizations. She's worked for the Red Cross. She's a Delta member, a sorority sister in the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She works with she just does a lot. So on the 21st, she's going to come and we're going to sit down and also talk about the intersection between mental health and business, and also a little bit on how you can brand yourself effectively, notwithstanding what your mental health situation might be. Woo! Told y'all, I know some dope people. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to bring them to you. One of the dope people I know is Sharif Small. He is the CEO of SJS Financial Firm. He does real estate accounting. He has helped so many people really take their ideas, and because we talk about dreams, but dreams, you sleeping with that. He helps them actually in real life take the steps that are necessary to really move their ideas and their plans and their goals to fruition. He has worked with the Small Business Administration's procurement office to host. When I tell you, this brother put together a procurement fair talking about how to do government procurement in the community room in a library, and it was standing room only. Every time he has an event, people show through because they know that he's real. They know that he's going to give them great information, quality service, and they will be in good hands. So without further ado, I think he's here. Sharif, sir, are you here? I think you might be having some technical problems. Sharif? All right, it looks like Sharif is having a bit of some technical issues getting on. So we're going to try to help him resolve those in the background. And so we're going to keep talking about finance and real estate until we can get him back. Because I know a couple things about business, a couple things about real estate and finance and stuff like that. So one of the things that Sharif, one of the other great things about Sharif coming on today is that it's a really good follow-up, and shifting from the real estate for a second, it's a really good follow-up to the conversation we had with Bibi Hidalgo from the Small Business Administration, the associate administrator there. What we found was that the reforms that the Biden-Harris administration, right? The reforms that they are proposing are really focused on helping small businesses get to do more business with the federal government, particularly minorities and women. Now, one of the things we need to be very careful of is the recognition that when people start talking about minorities and women, and looking at the outcomes of those programs, a lot of times what we find is that our communities, the Black community, still stays disinvested because a lot of the resources go to white women in these businesses and things like that, or these opportunities. One of the great things that has happened with the reform, part of the reforms that the SBA has initiated, is they disaggregated. There you go. You gotta say the words right. I don't want y'all to I don't want you all to think that we got some, the language barrier. but they disaggregate. I did it again. They disaggregated the data. That happens. They had it. They do that often, but they shared it with us this time. So we got to see that while the federal government has in many agencies been hitting a lot of those markers, they haven't been hitting them in the Black community. And like I said before, Sharif does an amazing job of helping people navigate the space and getting their business prepared for those opportunities. The federal government, state governments, and large institutions, they normally, if they set aside money for startup businesses to do contracting, it's not a lot, and it's something that is not often, and there are exceptions to the rule, but they're not often the larger contracts. Why? Because they want to make sure that your finances are in place. They want to see that you can last, because they don't want to sign a multi-million-dollar contract with you, and then because of something you didn't do or some paperwork you didn't file, you have to go out of business. And now they have to scramble with all those losses and try to replace you as a contractor. So again, it's really great that we have Sharif here in. I think he's in, let's see, Sharif, are you there, sir? Looks like he's still muted. Sir? Okay, let me, we having some technical difficulties right now. Okay, well, we're gonna go back and not quite sure what challenges he's having, but wow. So technical difficulties, it's a real thing. But again, so let's just keep talking about the reforms and wait for this to work through. So when we're going through and talking about the reforms and we look at the disaggregated data, what we realize is that Black people have been left out of the conversation of the resources that have been released by the federal government. And while, that's not surprising to us, it's different for the conversation. Is different as we're trying to push for policy considerations when we know the actual data. Because one of the things that used to get said about the reforms or about procurement, and we would argue that there needs to be more support for Black organizations and Black companies to get more of the business. One of the things they used to say on a regular basis is that, well, look, everybody's doing well, and they point to these exceptional cases. They would point to, the Oprah Winfrey's or some of the larger larger Black businesses who are getting some of these contracts. But one of the big problems with it is that they were highlights and not the regular part of what's going on. They were the exceptions and not the rule. And so the conversation would revolve around, oh, well, this didn't happen, I'm sorry, look at this person. This person has more money than most white people. So it clearly, and we heard it a lot on the political side with people talking about how racism was over because Obama was president. It's like, wow, that, just the inability to understand what's actually going on. And some of that is just because they don't have the lived experience. They just don't. Having to have a conversation with people who've never owned a business or never been in leadership positions about business is sometimes frustrating. Having conversations with people who don't have kids, who have a lot of opinions on kids, it's frustrating. Well, I know that firsthand because I used to be one of those people. I remember, so at this point we're riffing. So we're going to get back when we resolve the technical difficulties, we'll get back to having a conversation with Sharif. But for right now, we're just going to talk. One of the things that, for me, I was one of those people before I had kids, I knew exactly what the system needed to do. Oh, you know what you need to do? All you got to do is be more directive, more demanding, more, give them more opportunities and really push them harder. And coddling kids and things like that. We just need to be, more strict with them and things like that. And I remember Walter Ampery. I had an internship working at the mayor's office, and Walter Ampery was the superintendent of schools at the time. And I was there. It was a big snowstorm, and I made it into the office, and they were having a press conference. And all of the jurisdictions around Baltimore City has shut down their schools. It was a snow day. Baltimore City did not. And at the time, Baltimore City was running in the red, like bleeding money. And one of the things that the reporter asked Dr. Ampry, and they did not like him. They asked him, like, well, why didn't you cancel schools? Because everybody else did, and you could have saved this much money, blah, 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 if you had canceled school. So why did you do that? And you put people at risk. And I'm sitting there like, that's a good question, because, that's not good business practices, blah, blah, blah. And what he said to me literally helped change he didn't say it to me. What I heard him say literally changed the course of my life. He said that I think it was 70% of our students live below the poverty line. 85% of them qualify for free or reduced lunch. If I close schools on a Friday, that means that for some of my students, the last decent meal that they will have will be the lunch on Thursday before the breakfast that they have with me again on Monday. And in that moment, everything changed, because we weren't just dealing with, statistics. In that moment, he humanized children for me. He made me remember that it wasn't, while our institutions may be designed for one thing, and especially the schools. Well, actually, we'll talk about what the schools were designed to do in a second. Well, maybe. But the schools are designed to educate. And so particularly for those of us who don't have connections to the school, that's what we see it to do. But since you have the kids anyway, over the course of years, that attitude, since you have the kids anyway, has increased. We are now asking educators to do everything. We're asking them to report incidents of violence and abuse. We are asking them to feed the kids. We are asking them to have the provisions of mental health services there. There are some schools that have full-time therapists on board who have big caseloads. Like, we're not talking about just, oh, let me check in, how you're doing. We have placed those responsibilities on the school system. We have replaced not just the responsibility of raising the kids, and not just of healing them mentally, but honestly, sometimes raising them. I've had more than a few of my friends who are educators who talk about how they end up having to buy kids clothes because the family just doesn't have it. Like, that's a real part of their experience as educators. And it's important that we take the opportunities to humanize the system and humanize the teachers. I mean, sometimes I think as community members and as parents, we treat the teachers the same way the kids do. We are like, oh, your entire life revolves around this classroom. We expect them to purchase their own supplies. Why? Why when we have money to, and I don't want to jump on being, the whole military spending versus, education spending, but it's a damn reasonable question. Like, we have a thing called the mother of all bombs. Like, that's the Moab, the mother of all bombs. This is the most explosive thing on the planet aside from a nuclear missile. Why? Like, how much are we investing in the destruction when our kids are hurting? When our communities are just out there doing whatever, and we don't even have the ability to support them because the money is going other places. Right. Maccabee. When people it's so weird when people come to the communities and tell us what needs to happen in the communities. It's like, but listen to us. I can't really knock anybody that's, and Donnie was talking about this today on his show with Lisa Hodges Hiking. He was talking about how, one of the things that he did, because he was like, I can't rely on the police to come in and get these addicts in my neighborhood who don't live in my neighborhood, get them out of the community or out of the community. We can't do, the police aren't getting the dope boys out. So what he did, he went and talked to them directly. He was like, look, dude, I understand. Because then he started from the point of understanding. It's like, look, I understand, because people romanticize drug dealing and romanticize it like they're living superstar baller lives. Like, that's so media portrayal. When you actually break it down, talk to a drug dealer or somebody in that life, they end up making less than minimum wage for the time that they spend, and that's less than minimum wage, and for the risk that they're taking. This isn't something that they want to do. What other options do they have? How many of you all are out here hiring them? So that's, for me, that is a right. Archer, absolutely right. The Black communities were left to fend for ourselves. Why? Because, and they covered this morning. Lisa and Donnie talked about this a little bit this morning. That the question becomes, like, why are places like Baltimore, Detroit, and these places, Atlanta, where you have Black leadership at all levels, in Baltimore during Freddie Gray, when Freddie Gray was murdered, the police chief was Black, the mayor was Black, city council president, the comptroller. And so we end up in this situation where it just doesn't make sense. And that's because we think that our well-being is part of the system's plan. If we're going to talk about some stuff, let's talk about it for real. Why would we think that the places that we live that have exploited us for so long aren't doing it now? Right now, as a country, we're experiencing that northern racism, the politeness, but never get it twisted. You better know your role. And our communities are a reflection of that mindset, that Black communities have issues and they have to be policed. They have to be controlled. When you think about the history of the modern police force now, it's slave catchers. You deputize slave catchers. It's kind of like if your parents have two recessive genes, sickle cell. If both your parents have sickle cell, it's likely that you will have sickle cell. So when you create a police force that was born on a disease, when that becomes part of its DNA, you think it's not the manifestation or the mitosis of organization development, that DNA is going to separate. And each one of those new things is going to grow and it's going to look like its parent. And let's not pretend that the parent of all of this is not racism. Well, let me take that back. It really is capitalism. I truly believe that white supremacy and racism, well, particularly white supremacy, is merely a tool of capitalism, because it is the easiest way to otherize a group of people. Because let's not get it twisted, this is not the first time that that people have been discriminated against in the world. In these other places, like in Europe, it was difficult because, I saw this movie one time, and granted, it's a movie. It's Heath Ledger, A Knight's Tale. And what he did is that he was able to convince people, even though he was, lowly born, or I guess that's what they called it, lowly born, he was able to convince people that he was a knight. Just so long as he had his papers and he looked the part, they couldn't tell that he wasn't. See, the thing about white supremacy is that it helps reinforce the caste system. It helps make sure that the people in power stay in power by giving people an other to feel superior to. Now, we've said it before on the show, like how can you be superior if you have to keep cheating? Like, what I mean? Usain Bolt isn't messing with the clock. He's not trying to knock you off your game because he's faster than you. He doesn't have to. Oh, if you change changing the system and changing the heart, change the world. I agree with that. But I think we focus on the system because we focused on the hearts for a long time. And here's the other part, is that you have people who are well-meaning, who actually engage in some of the more damaging behavior. So, for example, I had a colleague one time who did not invite me to participate in a project because they knew that one of the other people leading the project had some racial issues and some issues with me personally. So she didn't invite me to the project because she was being nice. Why would I want to put you in that type of situation? But guess what that did? It just made it so that I didn't have the opportunity. And her trying to protect me, what happened was that she left me out. She left me at a greater disadvantage. So while I am really big on let's focus on the heart and making sure we can help people feel and understand that piece, I really want us to spend some time talking about the system and also talking about our preparation for the system. Because one of the arguments that a lot of these institutions make is that because of our education, because of the disinvestment in our community, we're not prepared for the opportunities that they have to present. And one of the things that you need to make sure that you do is you prepare for these opportunities, have good people in your corner. And I'm about to bring to you a good person. Y'all thought we weren't going to work out the technical difficulties, but this is what happens. This is Black excellence. Things go wrong. We keep trying to, we make it work. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I bring to the screen Sharif Small. Hey, sir, how's it going?
Man, I'm very sorry. Good morning. Good morning, William, everyone. How y'all doing? My apologies. I should have been had this on as a backup. But not until I ain't thinking about it now. Just hey, I got a tablet. Let's try that. Now
It's okay, but that's the thing. We live and learn. That's what we do
yeah,
here.
yeah,
We
yeah,
educating people. And the cool part, because you know the audience knows, we talk about real business and real stuff here, and this is an example of a real business situation. Like there's no, this is
Definitely,
not
yeah,
something you could put in your business plan. Like this wasn't in my show
yeah,
notes.
yeah. Especially now, everything being done online and Zoom. But yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I really, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sir, tell the people a little bit about you and SJS and what you all do for the community.
Yeah, so one of my first business I ever owned was SJS Financial Firm. We've been in business for almost actually 17 years now. Like I said, SJS Financial Firm. We are a tax accounting and financial planning
Mhm,
practice. So of course we do bookkeeping, payroll, tax for small businesses and nonprofits. And of course, the reason for that is, we got to get your books in order so your business can grow because you're looking to get access to capital, government
mhm.
contracts, hire employees, equipment. But then eventually, you want to be in a position to be able to buy, get out of that off your home office and buy your office building. You got to have your profit loss statements, your balance sheets in order, and they got to be clean, they got to be tight. Plus, you have to know how your business is doing so you can make the best decision as well. So that's one of the main things that then we provide that offer that business advisory, consulting advice to be able to grow your business well. And like I said, we also do personal financial planning because as you look to grow your business finance, you got to before your business finance can actually grow, your personal affairs has to be in order because number one, you got to guarantee the loan, personal guarantee, because when
Yep.
you're applying for these access to capital, they're gonna ask for a personal finance statement, and all that ties in
Mhm,
together. And
mhm.
you're really trying to build generational wealth. You have to have your personal affairs in order, and you got to treat your personal affairs as a business. You have to be the CEO. Well, somebody got to be CEO and CFO of your financial,
Your personal
household, your
situation.
financial budget. So it all lines up and it works yeah,
Absolutely.
parallel. Um,
Absolutely.
so
There's one of
I thought you had a question, but yeah,
no,
how I
go,
got we've
go,
been
go.
about 17 years, like so how I got into accounting. My dad actually had his own tax practice for 15 years, and then I worked for him for five, and then
Mhm.
I graduated from Taos University, got my bachelor's in accounting.
Big up to Towson, big up to Towson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm actually on the accounting advisory board, and have some interns that
Oh,
work yeah, because you got to focus on the next generation. So we, get a chance to be a part of, helping the future
right.
accountants and leaders in our, community. And like I said, I have two interns actually from Towson's
Mhm.
working for me for right now. But yeah, I graduated. Got my started out working at Mass Mutual Financial Group. What I love about
Okay.
Towson is that I got my degree in accounting, but they also had a financial planning program under the
Mm,
accounting department. So I got 120 credits with the accounting courses, but then I took additional 30 credits and financial planning. So personal finance, insurance and investment course, retirement and employee benefits, a tax course, of course, but then also an investment and an estate planning course. So it just opened up my eyes even more when I know I just not only want to help people with their business finance, but I want to help people with their personal finance as well. So
So,
what from
so wait a minute, Sharif, because I want to, because I like to stop people and highlight some things.
Yeah.
Recognize you all the way he was able to run down his qualifications. He's not doing a sales pitch to you. He's not like, hey, for me, I could double your money and da 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 da. He's talking about the substance of what he knows, how he has
Mhm.
worked to sharpen his practice. And so when you are looking for somebody, I'm gonna big you up because I know you do good work. I know the people you work
Yeah,
with,
appreciate
and
it. Yeah.
shit, we could have a whole show about people telling about how good the experience has been with you. But when you are out there looking for a financial planner, ask about their credentials. That's not a rude question. Ask
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
ask them for references, because if they
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
references, if you've done good work by people, but nobody really wants to talk about it, like, did you really do
Mhm.
good work by people? So again,
Yeah.
and brother, I really appreciate you really explaining to people the value of those things, how
Yeah.
it helps
Yeah.
you to help them in their personal life. I mean, their
Mhm.
financial development. Because sometimes it's just like, ooh, he has a really good commercial. Let's go to him. Or look at that billboard. Or my friend
Yeah. Yeah.
said
Yeah.
they heard from somebody that deep might have been good. But being
Mm.
able to be able to articulate like your value proposition, that's some good stuff. So just
Yeah.
want to
Well,
make sure
thanks, man.
you slip. I
I
want to make sure they
appreciate
thought.
that. Yeah, I mean, the key then idea you want your potential clients, your current, future clients to feel comfortable with who you are as a person, and what you stand for, and what you're about, and the steps that you take just to be where you at, and the steps
Mm,
that you can take to help them, because they want to know, well, how you going to help me, get to
right.
where where I need to be, and what do you have to, to offer. I mean, where my
Mhm.
office is at, I got like four, five, six, seven, eight different accounting, financial planning firms right on the same block. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why they want to choose me out of everybody else? And they have the opportunity. I would tell them, hey, talk to other accounting and financial firms, and you make the decision which is best for you. But I always encourage them, look them up, know who they are, what they're about, get them references, but look them up online and see what comes up, what ratings they have, and things. And so all that stuff is very important. You just hope people do that, and I always encourage people to do that due diligence. That's the name of the game,
Absolutely.
because we have access to everybody's information set to the key to the house is what because tax returns, you got social security
Yeah.
number, bank
Everything.
statement, we have
See,
access to
and some
everything.
secrets. You
Yeah,
you end up finding out stuff that they may have been
yeah,
hiding from other people. So
well,
absolutely, you need
yeah,
to be working with.
well, yeah, yeah. So we want to make them feel comfortable as much as possible. Yeah, we've been in business actually since 2005. Yeah, 17
Yeah.
years. So in addition of that business, I also have a real estate development
Mhm.
business as well, which is SJS Investment Property. So we own commercial buildings, apartment complexes, and then we renovate homes as
Mhm.
well. And we love doing that because, with the apartment complexes, we're buying, a lot of the properties that we're buying, there are tenants in there, there's
Mhm.
slumlords. Um,
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
properties that we're buying from. Number one, we're buying it from people that don't even look like us, so they don't even value the quality of life and the
In the
living
community.
conditions that they're living in. So when we buy them, we renovate the property. So we get them a new kitchen, new bathroom,
Mhm.
update the plumbing, electrical, HVAC and things of that nature. And we love it because we know, and we main one of the biggest thing is removing reducing the lead as
Right.
much as
Right.
possible, because we done been in buildings that we bought, like, so last year we bought a 12 unit in Park Heights, and when we was going through the inspection, there were kids in there working on the computer, and there's lead all over the place. And that's the first thing I said to the parents, like, you're in here with lead. And I was like, the first thing we did when we buy this bill, which we did, was we had to do a lead reduction. You can't make it lead free because it's an older building,
Yeah.
unless it's a new construction, but you can make it lead safe.
Yes.
So we want to buy in the building. It's in Park Heights. It was a 12 unit, five commercial, seven residential, and we started renovating the rooms one by one. It was leased also for one unit, so we renovated that first, and then we used that as a swinging space. So we would move the tenants into the unit that we renovated. So and then we renovate their unit, and then we would put them back into into back into their unit. So, we give them new appliances, new everything. And that's what we love doing as well. Because in the end of the day, yes, we all got to make money, but we got to make an impact, make a difference. Like you have to make meaning first. I
All
think when
right,
you focus on making meaning, you'll make money.
stop. Because you pissing me off now, bro. You're pissing me off. I'm gonna tell you why you're pissing me off. Because you're real calm about this. Like you are literally talking about transforming a
That has to
family's
be.
life, dude. Like
That has to be.
yeah, but no,
Yeah.
I need you to get some more excited about it, bro.
So the thing is, man, this is what we do, man. We used to this. This is our calling. This is our purpose and our
oh
passion.
man,
So this is what we're used to doing. So our purpose and our principles, we focus more on transformation and less transaction. Because yeah, you can be a lot of people focus a lot on the transaction part, but
right, right.
when we meet with our clients or when we buy a building, we focus on the transformation standpoint. How can we improve again the quality of life of our tenants, of our residents, and our clients, and that's what we really, really enjoy, doing. So yeah, that's what we do on the real estate side.
Mm,
Also have a nonprofit called
mm, mm,
Financial Empowerment Movement, and with that
mm.
is what we teach kids financial literacy, we teach them entrepreneurship, and we teach real estate. So we teach the kids and the community. So we've done annual youth and family financial empowerment events where we taught the kids K to 12 budgeting, banking, saving, investing, understanding credit.
Wow,
We
man.
partnered with Operation Hope. We partnered with the Urban League. We partnered with the NAA. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have volunteers and they going through training. And because the thing is, this is a community partnership thing. We can't do it by ourselves. We partner with other organizations that have the same mission, the same objective, the same goals, but we gotta do it together. And unfortunately, in our community, we don't do that as much as we can. But we try to make sure that we do that. So anytime we have events, we always reach out to our counterparts so how we can work together and provide the resources,
Mm-hmm.
together. So while we're teaching the kids that, in one room or in two rooms, then we'll teach the parents home ownership to real estate investing. Now, there's one thing I saw you was talking about with far as, real estate taking the right steps, because the first step to, buying the first step to building wealth is on your home, but there's a process and there's the steps. And we all know what happened in 2007 and '08 when people were
Ooh,
buying houses with interest only loans
didn't
and
know what they were
did,
doing.
did not know what they were doing. And it affected us the most because of lack of financial education, information, and advice. So that set us back even more as far as building generational wealth because for us to build wealth, we have to own wealth building assets and we have to own income producing assets.
No, stop, say that again. Say it. What we got to
Yeah, we
do?
have to own wealth building assets. So we have to have
Spend some
assets.
time.
Yeah,
Spend some time talking to the people
yeah,
about what
well, we
wealth
have
building
to have
assets is.
we have to have assets that's going to bring in cash flow and passive income.
Right.
Because if it's not bringing in cash flow, it's not an asset. It's a liability. If
There you
you
go.
read the Rich Dad Poor Dad Robert Kiyosaki, that's what it is. So it's like a lot of people, their first house that they buy, they always buy that dream house, and your first house should not be your dream house. Before me and my wife we bought our dream house, I had bought other houses, multi units. They were already bringing in cash because you got to build yourself to be able to buy that dream, house. So one of the things we always encourage people to think about doing is buying, as a primary resident, buying a multi unit, because you can
Right.
buy to a 4 unit property, live in one unit, and then rent out the other, two or three units, and then you do that every couple of years, where you have enough cash flow, passive income coming in to where now you to the point now your money's working for you because when you have a
Absolutely.
paycheck, you working for your money, but then you got to take that paycheck and make
And
it work for you. So that's when it comes into investment, to money in the market, money in real estate, and on your own business. So you have to have all three. You have to have seven streams of
so
passive income, but it's
income.
money in the market, the top three: money in the market, money in real estate, and on your own business. So that's one of the things we really try to teach our young people, especially as they get into high schools and the college and they start working. We really talk to them about, instead of always looking to quick to getting that apartment or getting that car,
To be
save
yeah.
your money as much as you can and buy a house. If you have, you know, um, a W-2 paycheck for 2 years and you started building your credit, get like a secure credit card, then in 2 years you can get in position to buy, a multi-unit. And they have a lot of down payment assistance where,
Yeah.
you get to the
Especially
closing table and you can get a check. Like I have this happen with clients a lot of times that make it 30, 40,000 and may buy a multi-unit for like 200,000. And you talking about 200,000, 3% of that FHA, that's 6,000 right there. You can, if you buy something in the city, that 5,000 of a down payment assistance alone, just from vacant and value. And then
Yeah.
there's other grants on top of that. A lot of times there's tenant out. That was, of course, landlord, you gotta, make repairs and things like that. But you can also hire a property management company,
Right.
so you don't have to get those tall calls 2, 3 in the morning, pay them 7 to 10% fee and things of that nature. And then another year or two later, you can
Right.
continue to buy, another. But then one of the things we want to do, and you want to mention, my other business is called SJS Enterprise
Okay.
Services Corporation. So with that one is a leadership development. It's a government contracted business that we have. We do leadership development training for businesses. So helping businesses start and grow their own businesses. We have 2 government contracts with the SBA. So I
Mm-hmm.
teach small business classes on military bases. So we
Mm-hmm.
use a 2-day class where we teach those that are veterans. Number one, any veterans or those access to
Mm-hmm.
the military, thank you for your service, because they sacrifice a lot, for our country. So I go on the basis, or I teach them online. Well, we teach
Mm-hmm.
a 2-day boost, and I get paid by the SBA, the Small Business Administration, to teach those classes. And I love it because a lot of those in the military, they've gone in at 18, 17. They've never been on a job interview. The
Mm-hmm.
military world's totally different to the civilian life.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot of them wind up struggling at a transition. So before I got that contract, I was a financial planning counselor at Fort Meade for 5 years. So I would teach a 4-hour class every other week, dealing with soldiers that actually were retiring, or they
yeah.
were getting out, or they were getting kicked out. So they actually had to come through my class before they transition out. Because if they didn't, then I wouldn't sign off when they DD 214. So that's how I first got into government contracting. And then, once you're on base, a lot of times you get recruited from other agencies or other organizations to partner with them. So that's where came calling, and I wound up taking a contract. And then my second contract is it's called SBA Emerging Leaders. So it's dealing with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
businesses that have been in business, for 5 years. They have a minimum of 2 employees, make a minimum of 250,000. So the goal is to help them to, provide resources for them to grow their business. So a lot of them are doing well, but they still don't have their books and financial statements in order. Some of them may have some government contracts on the federal, state, local side, but they want to strengthen that, some more. And then we just provide our resources to help them, grow their business. So it's a 7-month program every 2 weeks where, for 3 hours, I facilitate and teach that class. And we love because we're helping businesses to be able to grow their business, to hire more employees, to know how their business is doing, just, to go after more government, because the key thing they learn is not just to work anything in their business, but they have to learn how to work more on their
Absolutely.
business and what resources that are available to help them, grow their businesses. So
Right. I want to, because one of the big resources that I've seen you offer. Well, I know that you offer is the way you engage people. So
mhm.
it's not one of the direct services. Like, well, but what we offer you is engaging, but you help them navigate through some really treacherous, emotional, spiritual places when it comes to their interaction with money. Because for a lot,
Yeah,
I know for some of the people that have come to you, like they haven't even looked at it, and they come with their hat in their head, like, sorry, this is all I have.
yeah, yeah,
But one of the things I really do appreciate about your practice is like you like come as you are, like the church, like come on down to the
yeah,
front,
yeah,
bring
yeah,
all your
yeah.
bring
I
your
mean, it's
yeah,
no
talk about that. Like,
judgmental
how do you do
because
that?
well, it's no judgmental because of what I always tell them, like number one, I've seen worse because they'll come in like, "But my stuff is raggedy, my stuff is this, my stuff." I'm like, look, I've been in this for like 16, 17 years, probably long enough because work. My dad was another 5 years, so
Right,
20
right, right,
years, and I've definitely seen worse. And the key thing is that you got to get them to start looking at that financial picture. To first thing we're asking, how long last time you look at your credit? It's been a couple of years, and you should be looking at that on a daily basis. Because if you're not looking at your credit, somebody else is. It's called fraud. And then a lot
right.
of times people don't understand there are a lot of basic stuff that they can do themselves that you can teach them to be able to get their credit and get their finances in order. One of the things that we really try to prevent them from doing is looking at these credit repair companies where they are um, charging them thousands of dollars. I remember I had one lady, she reached out to me about an apartment, but she was in the process of buying a house. And I'm like, you just sound like you was very close into buying a house, but something that appeared on her credit report, and she didn't know how to get it taken off. And it was a collection and it was a collection for around $1,000. But she paid somebody $2,000 to be able to help her with that one collection. I said, you could have used that money just to even pay off the collection, and you would be in a house right now. I said, no, one, I don't feel comfortable with you signing a year lease in an apartment, because number one, that's going to stop you from building wealth. And I like, it's so close. I was like,
Right.
look, we're going to do a free financial session, and this is what we want to do. I said, I feel bad that you got hit with that $2,000. And I was like, whatever money you got left over, I said, number one, you can negotiate with them. If it's like around 1,000, 1,500, you can negotiate around 50 or 6% of what it is, and then, pay it off, and then get that, make sure you get a letter so you can get that taken off your credit report within 30 days. And within 60 days, that actually wound up happening. And then within I think it was like 3 or 4 months, she got on a contract. Within 6 to 7 months. She actually wound up buying a house. Until this day, she's still, thank me, because I mean, I didn't want to take advantage, of her, because at the end of the day, I want to see everyone build, especially our people, build and not generation bro. And it just really came a lack of education, information, resources. That's really, really spearhead. The workshops that we do is we do
Right.
those financial literacy workshops, we do those small business workshops, we do those government contracting workshops, because if we don't know, we don't grow, and that's what really affects us from really building, that wealth. And I think one of the things we, with the SBA, that we really want to teach, actually, a lot of our small businesses, is especially when they start off as a home-based business, which I think is
Mhm.
great, because of course you save on on overhead. But in about 2 3 years, when we get your profit and loss statements, your balance sheets, you got some cash coming in, a consistent cash flow. The mindset we're
Mhm.
really trying to infuse in them, and don't look into renting an office space, look into buying an office building
Yeah.
where you can use the SBA 504, and you use the SBA 7A loan to be able to buy your building. One of the things you can think about doing is buying, is always called, it's called a mixed use property. And what a
Yes.
mixed use property means, there's an office space. There's an office storefront on the first floor, and then there's an apartment on the second floor. As long as your company can occupy 51% of the space, which is the first floor and the basement, and then you rent out the second floor, you can use the SBA loan. They will guarantee 90% of the loan, which means you only got to put down 10%. Like, they will finance up to 90% of the loan. You put down 10%. And a lot of times now, they can include the closing costs into the loan. My wife works for a title company. So, like, when
Mhm.
I buy a property, she does all of the, the title work. Another good thing is, too, is they can add the cash flow of the apartment complex into your cash flow, and to get that to income ratio, so you can actually qualify for it anymore. But that's when I bought my building in 2018 on 25th Street. That's what I did. I bought my building at an auction on Charles Village on 25th Street. Bought
Mhm.
it out for 150. Um, yeah, and it
Wow.
was a mixed use 2 unit. It was vacant for most part. It was renovated. I had to do some renovations to it, but I only had to put down 15. I had to put down about 15,000 plus closing, so it was around like close to 20. Because at that time they were including closing costs, but now in the last couple of years they include more of the closing costs. And then I rent out the second floor. I rent out for a couple of years to and I paid my mortgage, and now I actually Airbnb the second floor now. So the second floor,
Mhm.
and where I get more money per week than I do per month is by Airbnb, because I got traveling doctors, traveling nurses over at John Hopkins that need a place to stay, because it's fully furnished. There's a 2 bedroom up there, fully furnished. And because the key thing, again, you gotta be in a position that you can't just own the business, you gotta own the building too. Like, that's
Mhm.
how you build generational wealth. You can't just own the business, because the business is one thing, but you got to own the building too. You got to buy something, again, that appreciate in value, and
Right.
then
You're
it
talking
becomes
about no
cash
assets
flow.
too.
Yeah. So what I did was, a couple of years. So last year I refinanced it because the rate was lower. I pulled the cash. I bought it for 150. It appraised at 225 in 2 years. So the cash value went up 75,000 in 2 years. And I put about 10,000 into it. I had to put the new HVAC, fix the roof and everything. Other than that, it was fully furnished. So it's
Mhm.
like, and so I pulled the cash out, and guess what I did? I bought another building on the next block. That was on the 400 block of the 25th Street. It was, and that's a mixed use too. But it was a
Mhm.
nonprofit in that with triple net lease, which means that they respond for the taxes, the insurance, and then
Mhm.
also anything like right now, if it snows, they're responsible for their own snow because it's triple net lease.
Right.
So they, and the nonprofit's been in there for 10 years
Ah.
already. So I bought it for 90,000. So I you can get 80% of it financed. All you gotta do is
Mhm.
just have the 20% plus closing. So I got
Yeah.
80% of finance from another lender, pull the cash from that one, and just use that for the down payment. Now the basement is a whole nother unit. So now I rent that out to a John Hopkins student down in the basement. So that brings in additional cash flow. So again, but for you to be able to do, but to buy these producing assets, you gotta own the building, that again, appreciating the value, be able to pull the cash out and utilize it to be able to keep on doing. So this is what we really try to teach, our clients, our tenants, as well as the community, is how to build generation wealth. And then, but the key thing, you gotta be in a financial position. You gotta have your stuff in order, your books, your budget, your things, and then you have to. That's the first thing, but that's the second thing. But the first thing, as you mentioned before, you gotta have a plan. So, gotta have that financial plan. You gotta have that business plan. So when we meet with businesses, the first, hey, you gotta get your business plan in place. So Small Business Resource Center, Small Business Development Center, SCORE, get that business plan, get that marketing plan for free. We usually
wait. Or
yes.
the Grinding Gang Incorporated, you can come and get your business plan done. Just
Oh,
FYI.
yeah.
We don't get it twisted on this show. We do
There you
shameless
go.
self-promotions. We
There
let
you go.
everybody, because like
There
you
you
said,
go.
if we don't do our story, if
Oh,
we don't tell
say
our
it
story,
again. Say like Pinky. Say it again. Say it again. Say it
right.
again.
We got to keep telling people the Grinding Gang, SJS Financial Firm. We need to make sure that everybody knows, because especially one of the reasons that I was excited, and like I told them before, we had BB Hidalgo from the SBA on Wednesday, and it was a great opportunity to have you come up and follow that up about how do you need to manage your financial plan so you can even get to that level. But one of the big things for me is that I want to make sure that people know the good people, because like one of the things that stuff you're talking about, because again, anybody can do a good sales pitch and talk about how they can make you money, but you actually aren't just talking about investing in the community. You're actually investing in the community. Go figure.
Well, the thing is, we just talking about our calling and our purpose. That's all. It's like this. What we're doing is our why. I mean, why we're in business is, there's poverty and equality that's going on within our community. We have 30,000 board up houses. We got 300 murders. We have drugs. We have crime. We have kids. And it's like there's a problem, but within that problem, there's a purpose. So it's like what we just trying to do is just provide, solutions. So, I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed. I grew up in Park Heights, raised by a single dad, by me and my twin brother. So we grew up in an impoverished neighborhood, but we didn't grow up in an impoverished household, if that makes sense. So we were very lucky and blessed. But the key thing is that the blessings is to be able to be in a position to bless other people. I think that's the most important thing. Like when you're looking really to build, generational wealth, we call that NABA's lift as we climb, because as we are trying to move up the economic ladder, you got to be able to help other people in the process. And my dad used to always say, you can't just think about yourself, all the time. And you really infuse that into me, is that before, I have this passion that I want everybody to live, middle class. I have a problem with, there's a lot of pockets in the city that where it's very, very low income. And that's a problem, for me. Because like I said, where I live at, I'm very blessed to be, I had a house built for my wife about a little over a year. I had a house built. We're in the city, and we had a house built. We live, okay, but go less than 10 minutes away from where we at. That bothers me. And it was like I can't just live where I'm at and just think that's not. It's like I'm called to, because there's some issues that are going on within our community, and I got to be a part of the solution. Like I want everybody to live middle class, and until that happens, I'm going to be on this grind for our people, just trying to get rid of this poverty that's going on, all of these board up houses. So what our nonprofit, we just got awarded 2 properties from the city. We're closing at the end of this month, 16,000 each. We're going to put another 65,000 into it. And like I said, this is what I'm doing through the nonprofit. So my nonprofit is a nonprofit developer. I actually have my home builder's license, so we do the home improvement. And it's a $80,000 project. We, everything with the bond and the renovations. So then after we do the renovations, we'll pull in the market for around 165, 170. Around 180. It's not around 250, so people can't even afford it. So we keep them, affordable. So we, and then once we get done with those 2, we'll buy 4. Then once we're done with 4, we'll buy, 6, or we'll buy, 8. So that's the solution we're trying to provide, is one by one, trying to. But then again, we teach other people to do the same thing. We do coaching in real estate. They're looking to get into that. So that's our goal and our passion, is really trying to make sure we come together and really, fulfill this purpose together. It can't be just me. I know there's other people out there that are doing the same thing, but how do we do this together so we can really try to make some real change? We can make change, but we gotta be a part of the change too. So.
Right. Dude, man, listen, we got to the end of the show. It's about time to go. but I also recognize this is not going to be your last time on it. Like, I just want to make sure you
Yeah,
know.
I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah.
Because like I want to go over some of your projects in detail, because what I really hope is that, well, my opinion, and I think we had some of our audience agree, like you are creating a model that should be replicated in Black
Yeah.
communities around the
Hmm.
country, and we need to, and just to make sure people know that this is an option, like it's,
Yeah.
and not on paper, you are actually making it work. The last thing I want to say about what I also respect about what you shared today is that it's a demonstration of the type of investment that needs to be made in the community. A lot of
Hmm.
times when we think about community investment, we think about how much money, dollars do we have to pour in. But what you've shown is that some of the investment is the decision not to take all the money out.
Yeah.
Leave the
Hmm.
people that you help with something that they can
Yeah.
build on,
Of
because
course.
otherwise, because a lot of people are like, well, get all the money you can and then give it back to them later. Like what
Hmm.
you are talking about is a community investment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and, and I think sharing that with people, getting them to see that there's another way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the key thing is we have to do this now. I mean, Baltimore is about to change the next 5 years. There's a
Oh yeah,
shift
yeah.
that's coming. We're actually in the process of building an 88 unit. Well, we put in an offer on a bid to buy a lot in Park Heights. It's 2 lots and build an 88 unit. It's a mixed use. It's 10 commercial, 78 residential in the city of in Park Heights, where there's a lot
Mhm.
of this investment that's going on in the area. So I hired a architect, hired a general contractor, hired a consultant, and engineer, and we put our proposal together. We submitted, for it, and it's something that the community wants and needs. Where we're going to put 10 businesses on the first
Mhm.
floor, workforce development, bring in jobs and opportunity, and then build the residential. And then we're going to do a workforce development job fair where we're going to be looking at, hiring some kids. We got some partnership with schools where we're working on building a teaching kids plumbing, electrical, and HVAC, getting
Oh
them to
wow.
the field to where they can
Hey,
make some real good money. So we have some partnership with schools where we in the process of doing that. We form
wonderful. Do
a
you know
yeah,
you
well,
know you know you know Rashid Aziz, right?
that's my yeah, he's one of my clients. So yeah, he's
Okay,
doing
yeah,
that with the appraisal side, like with the
yeah,
kids
yeah,
teaching
right,
them
right,
how to.
right. So I was about to say, like, yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing it, and then we, do his taxes and everything. So yeah, he's one of our clients. So we're taking that similar amount of, but we, there's a shortage of plumbing, electrical, HVAC in this
Oh yeah,
field when it comes to it.
absolutely.
So we have to connect with the young people and teach them to where they can make real good money because not everybody's gonna go to college, but they can get a skill,
And
they can get
everybody
a
should.
trade. Yeah, get a skill and get a trade, and they can be a part of something that's really building their community at the
And
same
you build
time.
a
So we
business
got
as well. So you know
yeah, so
what?
we
So
got
let's do this. Let's do this. I want the next show we do to be on that program, because one
okay.
of the things that I have really been pushing in some of the other organizations I've worked with is that, everybody talks about kind of the downtown, the white collar, and I was like, dude, when I got bankers out the wazoo I can call, but I gotta go online to find somebody when my toilet the thing
Mm-hmm.
it's not working.
Yeah.
I just had to
Hmm.
Google somebody and hope it worked out. But I could tell you
Yeah.
which banker to talk to about what thing.
Yeah.
And I remember
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the exact opposite when my dad was young. Like,
Hmm.
he, if his car stopped working, it was his fault, because there was
Yeah.
everybody he knew could work a car. Me, I got one dude who happens to work at Mr. Tire. So I want to,
Hmm.
I absolutely, if when my alarm went off, said that we supposed to stop talking now. I don't know,
Okay. Sorry about that, man. Yeah.
but so you gotta, especially that program, because I really want to encourage more people, because honestly, just selfishly, I need
We have
people to,
to.
especially as we are talking about real estate and developing like that. If you
We have to invest in
understand
our
how to
young
do
people.
the contract,
Yeah.
we are creating the entire continuum. We are integrating the
Hmm.
supply chain for our, oh my,
Yeah.
see what you
Yeah.
did? You got me excited at the end of the
Yeah.
damn
My
show.
apologies, man. I got on here too late, man. We could have had that
Oh no,
conversation.
no, no, no. Again, real business. This is what we do here. But I damn sure want to have a conversation about that program, man. So I will,
So that is-
Horace and I'll talk to you after we get off here. I'm gonna wrap up the show. I'll shoot you a text later on
okay.
today so we can coordinate that.
Oh, sounds good. Well, look, thanks a lot for having the show. Looking forward to being
Oh,
back.
absolutely, man. You've been a blessing, man. Thank you.
Same here,
All
partner.
right,
You have a blessed one.
all right. Ladies and gentlemen, Sharif J. Small from the SJS Financial Firm. Again, what did I tell y'all? I know dope people. You see all the stuff that he's doing in the community, and guess what? It can happen in your community too. Whether you're in Houston, Flint, Atlanta, you can make these types of things happen. And these are the types of people you need to hook up with to make your thing your thing. Another amazing show in the books, and I am grateful and appreciate you all. Have a great day from the Grinding Gang Studios here in beautiful Northeast Baltimore. Have a good one, and I'll see you Monday. See you Monday.